Today, I want to talk about True Story on Netflix featuring Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes. Okay, this is definitely one of Kevin Hart's most serious roles. Definitely A+ acting. Really, really great acting. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 for a limited series on Netflix. If you don't want any spoilers, I would stop watching. If you're okay with spoilers, go ahead and continue. Okay, so basically, can we just talk about the plot? If you've seen the plot, let's just talk about the plot right now. So we start off with Kevin Hart's character, Kid. Kid is this huge, comedic, really rich, going through a divorce, has one son, has a brother, an older brother, just seems to be in his best years in terms of his career. Things have finally clicked, and he is in Philadelphia for, like a few weeks. And he has a bodyguard, he has a manager, and he has a comedic writer, like a personal comedic writer that writes his jokes. That is his entourage, that's his group. And they travel from hotel to hotel together. And he's on this big tour of his. And basically the funny part is that this is so close to home. Like, this is basically Kevin Hart playing himself, right? Like, the character is so Kevin Hart. I actually had the chance to see Kevin Hart in Madison Square Garden in 2015. I actually had the opportunity to see him perform live, and that was a really cool experience. So to watch this movie, it kind of like took me back a little bit. But that is the buildup for the character. And yeah, so he's in Philly and he's meeting up with Carlton, who goes by C sometimes. His manager does not like his brother, Carlton, who's played by Wesley Snipes. A lot of people don't like Carlton. They see him as this shady guy who basically, when Carlton's around, like, there's always something that goes down, something negative. And obviously Kid loves his older brother and would do anything for him. So he lets like Carlton pass, and like he was always telling people like, that's my brother, like, we're good, but that's my brother, that's always gonna be my brother. And which is great. But it basically, Carlton is involved in some shady stuff, and he has a scheme. He basically plans with his girlfriend to extort his brother. That is the gist of the film. And it is so well done, because you would believe that Carlton is not a part of it. Carlton doesn't know what's going on. Like, he really just needs money for his restaurant, which is true on multiple occasions. And that Carlton just has a tendency to borrow money from gangsters, like almost $500,000+ dollar loans. Like, really? Are we really doing that? And yeah, so also he's a kid, does comedy, and he does like big movies, like blockbusters, and he's a superhero, and he's part of the Antiverse or something like that. And basically, Kid gets caught up in his schemes. And I knew in the film that something bad, like my first big red flag was the scene in the beginning when Carlton convinces Kid to come down for drinks and something like that. They come to the bar. This is like the first hour of the film. They go down. He's in the hotel room lobby, I think, or at the club. I think it's the hotel, like, bar. And Kid looks at Carlton, like, there's two other men. So there's a group of 4 of them, and they're all trying to take a shot of liquor. And we didn't know this until that moment, but Kid has been sober for like 6 months or so. And he's basically about to throw out his sobriety to join in this celebration moment with his brother and 2 other, I guess, associates. And he's trying not to drink it. And Carlton's like, come on, just celebrate real quick. Like, he's pushing his brother to do something that he's worked so hard for 6 months not to do. That, like, no family member would do that if they believed what you were doing is serious, right? And you're taking it seriously. So that was my big red flag, that like Carlton is not looking out for his brother. So they take back the shot, and like Kid complies and does it. He tries not to, but then he does it. And then it's like he's just drinking down shots. It's like that one shot unlocked a Pandora's box of more shots. It was crazy. It was wild. And like they meet these women that look, like girls you would see at the club, like wanting to be part of like the VIP room slash private area. And Kid talks to one of the women and you don't really think much about it, but then looking back, I'm like, dang, like when she asked for the photo with him, that should have been like a sign that like she definitely was targeting him and like something was fishy. Anyways, fast forward to the hotel room. They end up doing their thing, and then in the morning they wake up. So not only did Carlton use his girlfriend to like do the deed with his brother, but like he convinced her to play dead. And I knew something was up when Carlton just comes into Kid's room and is like, Kid, wake up. Kid, wake up. You know that girl you met? She's dead. She's in your bed and she's dead. And it's like, one, we never see Carlton come into the room before like 9 a.m. We never see Carlton check the pulse of the girl. Kid never tries to touch her to see if she's like, she has no pulse or anything. But Kid has this common sense, the sense to say, let me call Hirsch, his bodyguard. Like Hirsch you meet Hirsch fixes things. And later on, Hirsch is going to be like, why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you come to me? And that's going to be important because Kid is going to have to pay up. And it's worth it though. It's Hirsch, but he's going to have to pay up so Hirsch can keep quiet. And so they're like going back and forth. They're going back and forth. And I'm like, dang, like not knowing it, but that girl is not dead. And in my head, I was like, I really wish, like, just like a common sense thing, I really wish Kid could like kind of bring the blankets down a little bit and like see if she has a pulse or not. And like he's contemplating calling the ambulance and all this stuff. And he's like, don't do that. You know what's going to follow? Cops. Like it's going to be messy. And then Carlton comes up with the idea, basically like, let me call someone I know. And this person that he knows basically extorts his brother. And the brother's like, how much is this going to cost me for you to like take the body out and do what you got to do or do what you usually do? And the guy's like, I'm going to charge you basically. He wants $6 million divided over 12 months. That's what he wants. He wants a total of $6 million to keep quiet. And that money is basically going to go to the 3 actors playing Kid that are literally playing the joke on Kid right now. So Kid ends up contemplating that ask and realizes, like, I guess he's convinced that, like, if he doesn't pay up, his whole career is going to go out the window. And he's literally in the middle of a divorce. He can't lose custody of his kid. And he pretends to agree. And then he ends up killing the gangster. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It was one of the best moments because it was so unexpected from Kevin Hart. Like, the acting was incredible. And the seriousness of the character, and like, you just know the story is going downhill in terms of the plot, in terms of like everything that comes next is just going to drag Kid down more and more and more. But in terms of like the story and like in terms of the characters and the way they played it and all the surprises, it just keeps going up and up and up. And this limited series is so good. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to see it. Obviously, if you're still watching, like, you should see it. You've already seen it. But I just remember that being like a big whoa moment for me. And then they get the body out. They figured out a way to do it. And like, Kid cannot concentrate. Like all day, it's like a lot going on for him. He has this obsessive, I'm like speeding up right now, but basically they get past it. They get through it. So not only did the Greek gangster got rid of the first body of the woman. I think her name was Stephanie. And then Kid got his brother to get rid of the gangster's body, the Greek gangster's body. And they were able to do that. But Kid has a obsessed fan, a stan called Gene. And Gene is not, you can tell like there's like a lot going on with him. But he sincerely has a lot of love for for Kid. And he actually is like a big, big fan. Like he's the kind of fan that you want to sign up for your Patreon. He's the kind of fan that will lead like watch night parties and talk about you to his like neighbors and all this stuff. He'll be known as like the local Kid fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's his guy, you know? And basically, like, the end comes for Gene too. Gene has to go. He knows too much. And Carlton, like, places the watch of the Greek gangster that was killed by, like, that kid murdered. He gives this really expensive watch that the Greek gangster owned to Gene, the fan, who, his biggest problem was that he followed Kid and his brother Carlton when they were trying to dump the body of the gangster away. And he tried, because Kid got upset with him, and then he was like, I was gonna apologize, and then I saw what y'all did, and I know about it, but I won't say anything. And like, Kid shuts down. Like, he has a big, huge auditorium performance, right, with his fans, and he just does not know what to say. Like, it was so well done. And then Carlton handles it by getting him killed, because the Greek gangster has two brothers, and they come for him, and they do him dirty. And then the police get involved, and they're like, yeah, like, we just want to see what's going on because Gene's your number one fan and you were on live with him. And yeah, also, can you sign this poster for the district? Like, it was a lot. And then let's see what happens. After Gene goes down, you know, I think somehow it's like the girl that's involved from the very beginning, she's trying to reach out. And Carlton just keeps dismissing her texts. But basically, Carlton ends up going with Kid. Like, they reminisce, they get in fights, they reminisce, and Kid brings him home, and he's drunk, but his phone is going off. And the girl is calling, texting, like, answer. Like, she basically wants to know what's going on. Like, Kid is still here. Why is he still in the city? Like, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? And Kid is shocked. Like, who's this? What money? Like, because he jokingly said, like, Carlton, you, like, as he's putting his brother to sleep, he's like, Carlton, you owe everybody money, huh? And he sees, like, it's this one number, like, all of this information. And he answers the number because the girl's like, answer your effing phone, answer the phone. And he answers it, and the girl's like, the girl just says a lot that, like, exposes everything. Like, oh my gosh, like, why haven't you been answering? Like, where's the money? Like, all this stuff. And she mentions Kid's name, I think, and Kid is like freaking out. Like, is that the girl? No. And then he puts two and two together, and it's like, yes, like, your brother's been playing you this whole time, and he's been trying to extort you. And then that's when I'm like, oh my gosh, Carlton's about to go next. And basically every episode is like one character being booted off the show, and you just don't know how it's going to happen. And Carlton goes to find the girl. He sees her, and he's like, why? And she's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't want to do it, but your brother convinced me, like, yada, yada, yada. And like, her fate, like, the Greek gangsters find her, and they kill her. And then Kid invites Carlton to a big basketball game, the Sixers, and Hirsch is asked to leave the bodyguard, but he keeps the door open for a little bit. Like, a little sliver of the door's open, so he can hear, but we didn't know he can hear. And Kid is like, you're dead to me, like, we're done. You're basically a dead man walking. This is like episode 5 out of 6. I don't remember how many episodes there are, but this is like one of the last episodes, probably the last episode, which is the best episode in my opinion, because that's when everything ties together. And they exit the room, all three of them. They're trying to exit the place because they're done. They're done with the game. It was never really about the game. It was about, even before the game, Kid, when he found out everything, he told his brother, Carlton, you know I love you, right? And Carlton's like, yeah, I do. And he said that because he was like, how can his brother do this to him? And then he brought that up again. And he's like, you know why I said that to you? Because this is them in the viewing room in the stadium watching the Sixers game. He's like, because I know you'll never hear those words again. We're done. And they're leaving. And then the Greek gangsters show up, and they start running after them. They're like running, and like gunshots are going off, and like the whole alarm is going off. People are told to like evacuate, active fire, shooter like happening. And basically there's a shootout, and I didn't know this before, but I guess Kid knows how to aim a gun, and he takes out the Greek gangsters, and then he takes out his brother. But he makes it seem as if his brother took out the Greek gangster one by one, kind of, but he was shot too. And he like positions his brother on him to make it seem like he's like caring for him, and he like wipes his brother's blood on himself, and like security people are running, and he's crying, like he's doing hardcore acting. And he says, you always told me I needed protection, and like I needed to protect myself from others, but what I really needed was to protect myself from you. And I was like, wow. And I was like, dang, how many people are there in our lives that like just feed off of us, and they drain us, they don't give to us, they don't uplift us, and you know, they constantly take, and they know they do because they know you always will be there and you'll always take care of them. Like this movie, this limited series was so good. And then at the end, he has this Don Lemon interview, and everybody that's important to him, that he loves, is literally behind the camera watching him give this interview about how he basically tells the truth. He's like people are saying, I'm so sorry about your brother. And he's like, thank you. Not knowing that he's the one that did that to his brother, but like, they'll never know. Hirsch finds out, the manager finds out, he tells him, he's like, F it. Like, this is Kevin Hart's character. He's like, I can't hold this in anymore. This is what happened. I basically got caught up in Carlton's schemes, and Gene died because of it. All these people died because of it. All of these things went wrong because of it. I was extorted for $6 million. And he tells that story to the world. And he's like, this is what happened. I was extorted, and my brother orchestrated it. And, you know, I'm still going to continue this tour in honor of Gene and my brother. Even though basically his brother is the reason why he was a part of this whole mess. Like, this whole mess happened to him because of one person. Like, instead of just being like, look, I'm in a bad place, I need $6 million from you, all of these things had to happen and go wrong. And it was really great. It was really, really great. And that is my summary and analysis of True Story on Netflix. I definitely recommend that y'all should watch it. And Kevin Hart is getting better as an actor. Wesley Snipes was great. It was a great match, a great pairing for them. Like, whoever the casting director was, great job. Totally believable. Sometimes it's hard to see Kevin Hart and like see serious actor in there, because especially if you know him from comedy and everything. But good for him to making that pivot and being able to do something different. Yes. But yeah, I definitely recommend True Story. Y'all will like it. Check it out and let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye.